Hey guys, welcome back to the Speaker's Edge podcast, the podcast specifically designed to help you develop your communication skills to become a more powerful speaker by modeling some of the world's very best speakers and communicators so that you can learn to master your message and inspire your audience every time you speak. I'm your host for this podcast, Roddy Galbraith, and we're delighted that you're here with us today. Today is part 2 of an interview with John Maxwell. Last week's episode was part 1. You may want to go back and catch that if you missed it, because it was a wonderful, wonderful interview. And this is the second part of it that we're going to cover today. We're going to jump straight into it. But before we do, let me just say, if you downloaded the companion resources for the show yet, if you haven't, go to maxwellleadership.com/The Speaker's Edge, and you can download those. And if you enjoy the show, we would love it if you rate and review the show. Thank you. All right then, so let's dive straight into this second part of the interview with John Maxwell. He talks about the biggest mistake that most speakers make and what you can do about it. And there's a lot in there that I think for all of us, whether you want to be a speaker or not, anyone that's speaking in front of any group of people or one-on-one, there's so much for us to learn in this. I'm not going to say too much about it. Watch this second part of the interview and then we'll talk quickly about it at the end. Enjoy.
Okay, so you've been up here 25 minutes and everyone's having a great time. You've got everyone laughing and enjoying themselves. A lot of people, when they start out speaking, think it's about telling information to the audience and it's all about the information, but I've heard you say it's more about the audience experience. I've heard you say the atmosphere that the learning takes place in. Can you talk about that a little bit? The importance of the audience experience, the importance of...
I would be glad to, Roddy. The first mistake we make in communication is this. We want to look good as a speaker. See, the reason you're having problems with your 5 minutes at your table is because you want to look good. And so you're saying, your whole idea of speaking for 5 minutes among your peers at that table is, I want to say something that when I'm done, everybody will think I did a good job. Now that's a nice thing. I'm not being critical of it, but the first mistake a speaker makes is that they want to look good. And my word to you is, they didn't ask you to speak to look good. Nobody ever went to a speaker and says, I hope they look good. If you're ever going to be a great communicator, the first thing you have to learn is it is not about you at all. It isn't about me. And people, if you think it's about you, if you think, okay, I got to sound good, I got to say appropriate words, I've got to, oh my gosh, I got to make sure that they think I know my subject. You're too inward focused. You're inward focused, and you can never communicate well inward focused. You have to lose yourself to the people you talk to. It's not about you, it's about them. And when people say, well, what do I do with my 5 minutes at the table? I tell you what you do with your 5 minutes at the table. Quit worrying about how good you're going to sound. And quit worrying about how good you look. And you quit worrying about the fact that you want everybody to tell you what a great job you did. They'll tell you you did a great job whether you did or not. And the reason they're going to tell you that is they're going to have to stand up. This is an IQ test, folks. This is an IQ test. I'm not going to, if I've got to speak next, do you think I'm going to say, bad job? Bad job? Oh my, that was terrible. Dear God, don't ever do that again. Oh my. Oh. No. No one encourages others like people that are drowning together. Isn't that true? So it's not about you. Now, the reason I know all this is because when I started speaking, it was all about me. And you know what when I finished speaking, and I'll tell you if you want to know if it's all about you or not, when I would finish speaking, my first thing, Roddy, would be, I wonder if they liked me. That would be my first thing. I wonder if they liked me. And I was just waiting for somebody to say, boy, you did a really nice job. Good message, Pastor. I was living off of this. What did I do? Did they like me? Did they like me? And one day I realized that wasn't my job. My job was to love them and fall in love with them. And everything I did was for them. And so therefore, here's the thing. You have to lose self-consciousness to have other consciousness. I cannot try to be good and look good myself and help you at the same time. When are we going to learn? We have to, this is a biblical principle. When do we have to lose ourselves to find ourselves? And in communication, it's so huge, Roddy, that I've got to lose myself. I've got to walk out. And so I was just in Akron, Ohio the other day, or it was maybe 6 months ago now. When you're old, it just all comes together. and I would love this. I was getting ready to speak to about 3,000 people, and there was a young man that was, I would say he was probably in his early 30s, who was going on and speaking before me, kind of, just to kind of warm him up or whatever. And he was a great kid. And he was a very good speaker. And I purposely got on the front row to encourage him, because I don't like, I think it's my role to encourage people. And so I got on the front row to encourage him. And he was getting ready to go up and speak. And he said, John, when you get ready to speak, what do you think about the last 10 minutes? And I looked at him, I said, Steve, what I think about the last 10 minutes before I get ready to speak is how can I help the people? That's what I think about. I don't think about what I'm speaking on. Obviously, I want to be prepared, and I know what I'm going to go speak on. I mean, when Roddy said, would you come on and do a little Q&A with me today, I said I'd be glad to. But then, as I'm over here kind of getting ready to come up to you, I only have one agenda. There's only one agenda. How can I help you? How can I add value to you? How can I give you something that will help change your life? How can I speak words of truth into you and encouragement into you and put breath into you? It's all about you. There's nothing that I'm doing now that's about me. It's all about you. And if you want to communicate effectively, quit taking yourself so serious. I don't know why. If I could be God for a day, I would hit them all with a happy stick. And I would just for one day not allow anybody to think that they're real important, or they need to take themselves serious, or that they're God's gift to the world. Those people make me nervous. And I would just share with them, just go out and value and love people. That's all you need to do. So I think that in communication, Roddy, it's when I'm finished speaking, I don't want you to look at me and say, he's amazing. When I finish speaking, I want you to look at yourself and say, I'm amazing. I want you to see, I have no idea, I have no desire to be a star. I don't want fans. I want friends. And to have friends, you got to close that gap between where you are and where people are. And so in communication, when I'm done, I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel like I can go out and do something in the John Maxwell team that can make a difference for people. And it's really all about you. And the more that I pour into you, knowing it's all about you, the greater communicator I will become. Trust me on that. Your communication effectiveness is in direct proportion to getting your eye off of who you are and how you sound, as if you're someone that's important anyway, and how important those people are, and are they learning, and are they growing, and are they getting help from you? That's people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care, and that's all the connecting communication stuff. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, this is great.
I'm sorry, I know you're doing Q&A, and I just kind of leave you for a while.
Never mind.
But I'm back.
Okay, so I think we've got time for one more question. Can we end on like a practical, sort of practical advice for people preparing for their speaking careers? And I know Charlie Wetzel shared in the Maxwell Magic Masterclass about your filing, and you started collecting information a long time ago, and you've got a lot of stuff that you've collected. Can you talk a little bit about that for people to understand?
I can. At 17, I felt called into ministry. And so I shared that with my father. Now, my father is an amazing man. He's 93, he's still alive, he still works. And he was a pastor, and he was a speaker and a communicator. And at 17, Roddy, when I shared with him that I thought that I was called into ministry, and I would be speaking, preaching, whatever. He looked at me and said, John, if you're going to speak, then develop the discipline every day to read and file. Because he said the worst thing that happens with speakers is they keep speaking on the same thing. And he said, nothing's worse than to be 65 and have no water in your well. So he said, keep filling the well up with thoughts, ideas, file, put those quotes away, keep them there so that you can pull them out when you need them. And so I took his advice. Literally at 17, I started filing every day. And I'm 68 now. For 51 years, I have every day, filed. I mean, it's a discipline that I do today. I wouldn't know how to go through a day without filing something that I've read. So when I was at Random House in New York City a few years ago with my agents, and we were going to the 4 largest publishers in the world, shopping my manuscripts and my books, getting what we would consider to be a great deal, whatever that would be. And I remember the president of Random House came out, and his first words as we sat in the board meeting in that big office in New York City of his, and he said, John, we've done research on you, and you have written more leadership material than any man that has ever lived in the history of the world. And I said to him, and he said, how is that? Well, how it is because, you know, if you have to preach all the time, as I did as a pastor, and then I do monthly tape clubs I've done for 30 plus years, so I'm always having to write material. And I looked at him and I said, it's possible to develop the most leadership material in the world if you've collected the most leadership material in the world. See, you cannot give what you do not have. So all giving begins with collecting, filing, getting this huge resource. And with these huge resources, you know, I have no idea, but I mean, I have tens of thousands of quotes. I mean, and people say, well, you're just brilliant. How could you get this many quotes? I'm not brilliant. I'm just consistent. There's a world of difference between, I would rather be a sustained thinker than a smart thinker. And in the 15 laws of growth, one of the laws of growth is this incredible law of consistency. You know, the discipline keeps you, or you know, motivation keeps you, starts you going, but discipline keeps you growing. And so what I would say to you is you need to become an avid filer every day. You need it when you read it. You need to have a place to put it. And my filing is very simple. I'm not technologically aware like you are, so I started on 5x7 cards, and I started. You know, if my first word that I filed was on happiness, I guess what I put an H. And put happiness, and I filed it in the H section. If my second one was on attitude, I put attitude at the top of the card, put the quote on, and put it under attitude. And if my third one was on resiliency, I put resilience at the top and put it in the arc on it. And so when I started my filing system, I started with one card. Whenever I got a quote, I put a heading for it, and I filed it. And then after I got another quote on that same one, I pulled out that same heading, and I did it. And I literally filled out 5x7 cards just exactly that way. I mean, and I think I have like 1,400 subjects that I have filed now. But I started with one. And you say, John, that sounds very simple. That's exactly how simple it is. In fact, I had a guy with a computer, and he said, you're kind of archaic with your filing system. I said, I am. I said, why don't you pull your computer out, and I'll just pull out my files. And let's just, when you say go, let me see if I can pull mine out quicker than yours. I said, best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, best of 9. Are you ready to yell uncle? He quit. Just a very simple system. You don't have to do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be archaic like that. But here's very simple. It's a simple system that works for me. And it's allowed me to collect the most material of any person in the world so I can develop the most leadership material in the world. And so when people come to my office, the first thing they want to see is my filing system. And I pull it out for them. I mean, I'm talking about, I write it. I mean, it's handwritten stuff. It's Scotch tape stuff in there. I mean, it's so hokey. They're always, I can tell they're just kind of like, oh. Yes. And then I look at him and say, it's a discipline. I've done it all my life. I don't care if it's a 5 or 7 card or you got the most sophisticated technology thing to do it. I really don't care. There's only one question. Are you filing every day? My hokiness and corniness will beat your brilliance if you don't file every day. The idea is do it every day. And so, here's what happens, Rod. Most people, they think of a subject and then they go look for material.
Right.
All my life, I've looked for material. And then I think of a subject. So when I get ready to write on something, I usually write out on something that I already got material from. So that gives me all my thinking, all my creative ideas. It gives me all the stuff. And it's much more effective. And so over the years, you name a subject, I have material on it today, but it was because I collected. And the number one time waster is looking for things that are lost. People do it all the time. They'll say, oh, I read something in a magazine a couple weeks ago. There was something in a book I read last month. And if I could, I wish one. And you know what you do? You'll spend 30 minutes going through some magazines and going through that book. And it was in there somewhere. See, I don't do any of that. I learned when I was in my 20s, I figured this one out. When you read a book, if there's something good, I just make a little bracket around it. And I put what the title or what the subject is. And I go to the front of the book and I put page 37, faith. And I go over there and page 42, perseverance. I go put page 42, perseverance. And when I'm done with the book, I take all the stuff out of the book. I take it right out of the book and I file it alphabetically under all those subjects. And so therefore, I never have to go back to the book. In fact, I've given all my books away. At one time, I had 5,000 books in my library, and I just started giving people books. I'd say, here's one of my books, you can have it, and they love that. And I just did that over about 10-year period. I gave my books away because when I'm done with the book, I don't need it. I've already gutted it. I've already filed it. I already know where to go. So that when I'm getting ready to speak on a subject, I don't have to go back to a book. I've already got it put where it's supposed to be. It's under the subject. I just go back to the subject and I pull it out and I just take off with it. And I just encourage, that's been a system I've used for, oh my gosh, many, many years. I do it today. I still do it today. I literally took a book, Resiliency, the other day, and I pulled 47 quotes out of Resiliency under different subjects, and they're already categorized, they're already labeled, they're already filed. I don't need to read the book anymore. Now, there'll be a day when I'm writing on something, and I'll need something on resilience, and I'll go to that section, and I'll pull something out of it. Besides, not only is the number one time waster looking for things that lost, the second thing is you can't remember everything. Come on. At least I can't. In fact, at my age, it's getting bad. Margaret looked at me the other day and she said, John, we're forgetting everything. I said, we are. She said, I got a plan. I said, what is it? She said, do you remember who we are? And I'll remember where we're going. Now, listen carefully. This is what I'm saying is, unless you're brilliant, you can remember everything. You've got to immediately file. You got to and the reason that we look for things that are lost is we didn't have a strategy or a plan to put them in the right place the first time. And I have got a strategy. I don't lose ideas, thoughts, quotes, they're precious. I never lose them because I immediately put them where they're supposed to go. And then, and I may never see that quote for 10 years, Roddy. I may never see, because I am every day preparing for a lesson I'm not doing. So that when I need to do a lesson, I have my material.
Right.
See, most people, they never start working and preparing until they got a subject. I got to go speak on this. Okay, I got to go find some material. Every day I've been finding material. And see, here's what people say. Well, they say, that's really a good quote, but I don't have any use for it now. And I say, so don't do it today, but file it today. So there will be a day when you have use for it. And the day you have use for it, it's already there for you. And you can find it and you have it. It's available to you. And you can just pull it out.
Great, and that's something everyone can do, isn't it?
Oh, every one of you can do that starting right now, and it could be so simple. Literally on my iPhone in my notes section. Literally my notes section. Roddy, there they are. You can go through there, buddy. I don't know. I've got dozens and dozens of quotes there, and I can stop at any time. And here's one on adversity. Nelson Mandela said, "It is a tragedy to lose the best years of your life, but you learn a lot." Here's one on, I mean, it's just, so I just go through here, and I mean, it's all filed. I mean, it's all failure. It's hard to call something a failure if you've learned so much from it. Woo.
That's good.
My gosh, does that work or does not, hey, here's one on beliefs. Beliefs drive behavior. I can just go, success is too small to be a lifelong dream. I mean, it's all here. And so people, they hear me say this stuff. They say, John, you're brilliant. No, I file. My name's John. I'm your friend. There's nothing brilliant about me. See, there's nothing. Here's what I love about what I do. There's nothing that I'm sharing with you right now. There's nothing I'm giving you that's beyond you. You can do everything we're talking about right here, Roddy, that we've talked about today. They can do. Everyone. In fact, look at the person right beside you. Look at them and say, even you can do that. Go ahead and tell them. Even you can do it. Oh, that's fun, isn't it? And by the way, isn't it wonderful to come into an environment like this, in a culture like what we have here, and realize that the cookies are on the lower shelf? I mean, think about it. I am not here to impress you. I'm here to add value to you. I don't want any of you to be my fans. I'm not as great as you think I am. Trust me. I know me. And I'm many days disappointed in me, okay? So I don't need to be on anybody's pedestal. My name is John. I walk slowly through the crowds. I'll give you a high five while I walk by. We're friends. We're all doing this together for one very simple reason. The world desperately needs people who want to make a difference. And that's us. That's you. That's me. That's who we are. Anyway.
Good job.
Thank you, buddy.
So I told you it was a wonderful interview with John. So much wisdom, so many great tips, so much great stuff in that interview. As I said at the beginning, if you missed part 1 last week, go back and watch that. You'll be very glad that you did. So what's the biggest mistake that most speakers make? They think it's all about them. They're worried about what the audience is going to think of them. And John says it's not about you. It's about loving the audience. It's about adding value to the audience. It doesn't really matter how you feel. It's about how you can help them, how you can add value to them. So take your focus off of yourself and put it onto the audience. Instead of thinking, what will they think of me? Think about how you can help them, how you can add value to them, how you can serve them. If you struggle with any kind of anxiety, then when you stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about adding value to the audience, you really do forget yourself. And that includes how you feel. And you just focus on them. It's extraordinary. It works very, very effectively for most people. All right. So the other thing that I just quickly want to highlight here is that John talks about reading and filing every day. This is like a great idea to read and file every day. But so many people say to me, what system should I use? I talked about this in a very early episode. I just use Excel. I've been using the same Excel spreadsheet for years and years and years. I make lists of things and I've got lots of different tabs. So collect anything interesting that you may be able to share with a future audience. Anything interesting. Don't judge where you're going to use it. You heard John talk about this. Don't think, where am I going to use this? Just collect it and you can decide that later. So anything interesting I would collect, put it in a system. I use Excel, but any system will do. Any system will do. A lot of people ask me how you then search that. What index do we use? How do we categorize the information? I don't bother with that at all. I've found that even with a spreadsheet that's been developing for nearly 20 years, it takes me 2 minutes to read through my story ideas. 5 minutes to read through all the quotes that I've collected that I can teach on. A minute or 2 to take in the diagrams that I've collected that I might want to reuse. So I wouldn't worry about that. Now, when John started 50 plus years ago, the internet wasn't what it is today. And so it's probably much quicker for you to jump on the internet and search for a quote and related quotes and information that you can use than it is to collect all of that and then access it. So I would just collect things that are interesting to you, quotes that really resonate with you that you can teach on. I think they're worth collecting. Jokes, anything funny, stories, of course, public domain stories, other people's stories that you can use ethically. We talked about that in a previous episode. Mainly things that have happened to you that you remember or that happened to you in real time and you then collect. Collect all of those things and keep them in your system. That's what I think is the real gold for you. And any system will do. Start with whatever works for you, and then in 6 months you can review. And come tell me if you think that that was a mistake and you've wasted loads of time by not categorizing everything that you've collected. I've found that you really don't need that. You really don't need that. Any system will do. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Let me just quickly say, if you're interested in finding out more about the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, just go to maxwellleadership.com/speak. Jump on a call with a program advisor. They'll tell you about the program. I think you'll love it. If you want to develop as a speaker, it really is a no-brainer. They'll ask you a few questions. You ask them a few questions. You'll see if it's a fit. If it is, we'd love to have you, and I think you'd absolutely love it. And if not, what if you lost just a few moments of your time? So check it out. All right, guys, thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next episode real soon. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye. God bless.